Hey Internet, it's me, and him. Now, I know I just made a video, but we're gonna make another video, because Marvel announced some stuff. First, I want to point out, after we saw Deadpool, I had to go through and put in like all the Deadpool and Wolverine comics, mostly to replace all the comics that had visible nipples on them, which was surprisingly more than a few. But anyway, so Marvel announced some stuff. I guess we should start with the least exciting of the exciting things, and that's the directors for the two new Avengers movies are going to be the Russo brothers, which is funny because we talked about that on the ride home from Deadpool, and I said that I wish they would bring the Russos back because they had a good idea of how to like tie movies together and make a good coherent group story. So I thought that was awesome.
Can we go back a little bit further? Because I think someone said that I can't remember if they said it was in a new Captain America, the New World Order, whatever it's called, Anthony Mackie. Someone said that they showed a trailer, and in the trailer they mentioned the Celestial in the ocean.
Do they?
So that was a big talking point.
Okay, I did not see that. That, if they did, we've been asking for that forever.
Right?
So if they're finally acknowledging the new continent created by a god being bursting out of the earth, that's a big deal. That, as good as they claim to be about continuity, that has been the biggest, most gaping hole in the universe since the Eternals. There's been like 10 movies since then. No one's brought it up.
Right?
So, yes.
Where's Shang-Chi and all of this? Come on, man.
Yeah, seriously. Why don't we have him back yet?
Come on. I don't know what's going on. But, okay, so the Russo brothers are back.
You just react to that first.
Yes. I don't give a crap.
Really?
It is dumb. I understand exactly why they're doing it, because they're desperate and they're the only ones that can make them money, but I don't want them back.
Really?
Their movies were too grounded and gritty, and they weren't comic booky enough, and they were all one and done for me. I never want to watch those movies again. And the Endgame, the last two Avengers movies, boring to me.
Endgame wasn't as good as Infinity War, I'll give you that. But I really liked Infinity War. I loved Winter Soldier. I thought the Russos did some really good stuff.
There's neat moments in most of them, but nothing that I'd ever want to go back and watch again. I'd want to go back and watch, the Thor movies again.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Guardians movies again, because
definitely Guardians. Those are amazing.
Deadpool and Wolverine, over and over and over again. I want to watch all those movies again.
I'm going to see it again tomorrow.
Good. Because they're fun, and they tell a great story, and they're just entertaining and engaging. But the Russo movies, they have good moments of action, and then the story I don't care about, the characters I don't care about. I don't care. I'm not excited for the Russos to be back.
Really?
What I want them to do is go back to Community and make the movie.
That is happening.
No, I know the Community movie's happening, but they're not part of it. It's just, what's his name?
Yeah, Rick and Morty guy.
Rick and Morty guy. Yeah, I can't remember. Dan Harmon.
There we go. Okay, well then, I'm going to save the obvious talking point for last. So, I guess they did reveal that Kang is gone, and the name of the fifth Avenger movie now is Doomsday.
Yeah.
So, it's going to focus on Dr. Doom, not Kang.
Right.
I kind of love that. Kang is a cool villain, and it works with the multiverse stuff that they're doing, so it made sense. But Dr. Doom is just the best comic book villain. He's just evil because he wants to be evil, and he's just as smart, if not smarter, than all the brainiacs in the MCU. He's at least as smart as Reed Richards and Tony Stark and Moon Girl, and just... It's really cool. He's a fun villain. He just looks like a badass with that creepy iron mask. I'm excited. This is 100% the right direction.
I agree with all the things you said up until the end when you said it's the right direction.
What? We are on different pages about everything.
Well, how do you not talk about the last part without talking about this part?
That's why I'm talking about the character.
Dr. Doom is so freaking badass. He is great, and I want him in all the movies. He is a much better villain than Kang would be.
Okay, go ahead.
Dr. Doom. Okay, yes.
Breach the
I want
subjects.
Dr. Doom. But Robert Downey Jr. should not be Doctor Doom. That is the stupidest stupid of all the stupids. And I get why they're doing it, and it's smart because it's the only thing that'll make them money. And there's lots of people that care, but I don't. Robert Downey Jr. has no charisma to play Doctor Doom. He has two characters. One from back when he was actually a drug addict and he played a drug addict. And two was his Tony Stark Iron Man charisma, which he also played in Dr. Dolittle and Sherlock Holmes and all the other stupid stuff that no one ever watches ever. So he is the absolutely last person I would have ever picked to play Dr. Doom.
See,
Dr. Doom is big and imposing and scary and smart, and that's not Robert Downey Jr., and I don't think he can play it. Now, I've said, like, back in the day when people were like, oh, Heath Ledger can't play Joker. I was like, let's give him a chance. And then people were like, oh, what's his name? Jared Leto, he's probably going to be a good Joker because he's going to do something different too. And I was like, no, that's going to be shit. And it was shit. And I don't want to talk myself up and say I know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. He's not the right fit. Just like Pedro Pascal. Everything he's in is awesome. I've never had a moment where I didn't like Pedro Pascal, but I don't know that he's the perfect Reed Richards.
He's not at all the perfect Reed Richards.
I think he'll do
Fantastic Four.
He'll do okay because he's a good actor. He has more than one tone.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just charismatic, just like a Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is one note. He can't hit angry. His angry is weak. Like I've seen him do it. I've seen him get pissy in movies, but it was like I just wanted to slap him. I didn't want to be scared of him. And that's what Doctor Doom needs to be. And Tony Stark doesn't have the gravitas to pull it off. And the Russos are back because it's a cash grab and Marvel needs him. Robert Downey Jr. is back because Marvel needs him. It's just a cash grab. That's it. That's all it is. The Winter Soldier trailer is garbage. I don't have faith in Marvel anymore. But they're also doing the right thing to make them all the monies.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I'm as strongly against Robert Downey as you are. I saw it and I was very surprised, A, because they always said they don't want to bring him back, revisit the character. They wanted his death to mean something. They don't want to undo it, which is the right call. And bringing Dr. Doom in, 100% the right call. He's a better villain, like hands down, that is the right choice. Yes. Honestly, they should have done that from the get-go. He was always better than Kane. Robert Downey Jr., I agree with a lot of what you said, but I want to give him the chance to prove me wrong. Like, I have not, exactly like you said, Dr. Doom is imposing. He's scary. He's mean. Like, so you need to come in strong for that character. You can't be sarcastic. You can't be jokey. You need to be just big and bombastic and just cruel. And I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. can play that. But I also don't know that he can't. Like, we haven't seen him in a villain role like that. So, I mean, maybe he can pull it off. Like, he is a good actor. I mean, he got the award in Oppenheimer there. Like, he can do other roles than just sarcastic guy.
Please, prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I hope it's good because this is Doctor Doom. This is the Marvel version of Doctor Doom that we've all been waiting for. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know what they're going to do, right? In your head, have you played it out exactly how they're going to do it?
What are you thinking?
Dr. Doom is Tony Stark. He's not Victor Von Doom. Dr. Doom is
he's
the original Iron Man. He is Tony Stark from when he was the weapons salesman, and I'm sure they'll do a similar thing where he's captured and he has to make a suit to get out, but he instead makes the
doubles suit down.
And he goes villainous. And that's where...
God, I hope not. If that's the route
that's where they're going. That's the only thing I can see them doing, which is smart because it's the only logical thing to do. Like, I don't want to see Robert Downey, RDJ, play Victor Von Doom. Like, he is Tony Stark. He has to play Tony Stark, and the only thing he can do is play a different version of Tony Stark. And to have him play Doom, I get it. I get it. It's a neat idea, but again...
I would hate that. I'm not gonna lie. If that's the route they take, if that's the direction they go, where he is Tony Stark from another multiverse where he went a different direction, I would hate that. That is a terrible story.
What else can they do? Do you want to see him play a different character?
I mean, they can make it work.
They can, but should they? Is it
Well-
a good idea? Is that what people want? Do people want actor back just to have the actor back and relive the glory days of when Marvel was good? It shouldn't be about that. It should be about the story, and the characters should fit. And
Given those two choices, I'd rather have just RDJ play two characters than to have the Tony Stark version of Doom. If we get Doctor Doom, I want Doctor Doom. I don't want evil Tony Stark. I want Victor Von Doom. I want evil, crazy, big maniac guy.
now you said that word big. That was my next point. Robert Downey Jr. was the shortest guy on that stage. Like,
Yeah.
the Doombots parted, and then he came out
Yeah, the one on either side of it was
shoulders
flanking him.
below, and he took the mask off, and he was just like Jesus pose. Like, no, Ryan Reynolds is the Marvel Jesus, not Robert Downey Jr. So, how is he going to be big and imposing and look cool when he's not? He is for his specific type.
I was gonna say he's not cool. It's Tony Stark.
He's got all the charisma. He's the perfect Tony Stark. I don't want to see Tony Stark back. It's just that character that he's got to go. He's got to go. Just like what they did. Spoilers if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine.
I already talked about it in my last movie last
with
video.
Chris Evans. You know, Chris Evans back as Johnny. That was the perfect way to do two different characters.
Yes.
As the same actor.
Because he had already played both of those
He had already
characters.
done it, and he had proven himself in the bigger, better one,
Mm-hmm.
and people still liked the first one, and he wasn't continuing. He's dead.
Yeah.
So there's no coming back from that. Unless they want to do another universe of some kind. But they shouldn't. That was the way to do it, and they shouldn't do it with Tony Stark because he had that big send-off.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. Like, if they go that route, then that will go directly against what they've said all along, is that they don't want to undo that death. Like, it was such a big, pivotal moment in the MCU. Like, that set up all three Spider-Man movies. Like, none of them happened without that storyline. And, I mean, pretty much everything that happened after Endgame, honestly, doesn't happen, or at least not in the same way, without the Iron Man sacrifice. Plus Black Widow and Vision and all the other stuff, too. But, like, you can't undo that, or else there's no point. Like, don't even make your movies continuous then, because you just retconned away everything. There's no impact. You killed your own story. Like, if they're gonna go forward, he can't be Tony Stark.
That's the only way. I think that's he said, new mask, same task.
I was confused by that.
That to me, when he said that, if he didn't say that, I don't know if I would have had that Tony Stark back to the original Iron Man 1 thing, where he's just going the villain route instead of the hero route.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't say that, I would have been like, they could go a lot of ways. Because he said that's the first thing that popped in my head was, he's just getting a new suit on, and he's going the villain route instead of the hero route. And I was like, that's dumb. Because RDJ can't play that character. I'm not saying it's not possible, but from what we've seen, he can't play that type. He can't play the Doctor Doom type.
And the thing that struck me too, after I saw the announcement, like, I immediately wondered, how long have they known that he was in that role? Like, when did they cast that? Because they announced the 4 a while back. And again, I just want to touch on real quick, that was the most disappointing cast announcement I've ever seen. There wasn't a single actor announced for Fantastic Four that I'm excited about. I don't care. None of them. I don't want any of them in those roles.
Like, the only name I can remember is Pedro Pascal because he's done so many things. I don't know who the other 3 are. I can't remember their names at all.
I felt the same way about Fantastic Four I did when they announced the cast for the Super Mario Brothers movie. I didn't like anyone in the role they were. I'm not excited. And that's how I felt about Fantastic Four. And I love Pedro Pascal. He's great in other things. Like, he's a very good actor. He is not Reed Richards. He doesn't look like him. I've never seen him play any character with that kind of charisma or energy. Like, I don't want him as Reed Richards at all. So that was a nightmare cast. But that made me wonder, like, did they cast Robert Downey then? Or did that happen recently? Because, you know, like, a few months back or whatever, where they had their big panic after Quantumania didn't do well, and the Marvels didn't do well because racism and sexism, and, like, nothing was doing well. And they're like, okay, wait, we have to scrap a bunch of projects and reschedule things and push stuff out. We gotta panic, and we're only gonna do sequels now, and just what do we do? So I wonder if that's when Downey got cast. Like, I wonder if it happened after the rest of the cast. Like, if this was a last minute change.
I think it was.
Or if that was always the plan.
It was the Jonathan Majors debacle where he was,
Yeah.
the whole abuse thing, and he got charged. Like, they had to throw Kang out the window, and they needed something.
Yeah.
I think that's when they were like, we're desperate. People aren't liking what we're doing. Even though what they were doing to me was fine.
Yeah, no, I loved it all along. I still, I really didn't think they needed to change anything.
Yeah, it was. I think Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers came back because they were so desperate to just do something instead of Kang.
Yeah, I saw the news, and honestly, I was torn. I was excited for Doctor Doom, right away. Once I saw it was called Doomsday, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I want Doctor Doom. I'm very happy. And then, I saw, where he comes out on stage, and he pulls the mask off, and he does, his big savior pose, which worked in Iron Man. That's the pose he did when he shot off the Jericho missile, and it made sense. And then here, I'm like, Doctor Doom would do some big grand gesture, but that's the wrong energy. When you do that, that's more cocky, and Doctor Doom is sure of himself, but not because he's cocky. He factually knows that he's smarter and stronger and better than everyone.
Right.
So he wouldn't be cocky, he would be confident. And it's just same... I don't know.
I get exactly
it's
what
the
you're saying.
same expression, different energy.
Right.
And so, the pose was off.
If I was in that room in Hall H and Robert Downey Jr. took his mask off, I would have been screaming happy, not because he's playing Dr. Doom, because, oh my god, I'm in the same room as Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
I would have still been pissed off that they cast him. So, the people screaming, I don't know if that's a good indicator of people wanting Dr. Doom. Because if I was in the room, like I said, I would be screaming happy being in the same room as RDJ.
Yeah, I was going to say, the energy in the room of an announcement never means anything because... Right. You're hyped up, right. You're in Hall H, Marvel, Kevin Feige is right there, the Russos are right there, they just showed you Doctor Doom,
right.
And now Robert Downey Jr. is in front of you, the guy that created the MCU.
Right.
You're at a 12 out of 10 anyway.
Right.
They're all going to lose their minds.
It was that
regardless.
climactic release that everyone needed, just a scream and shout.
Yeah. But I think I am going to be curious to see the overall general reaction more and more. And how the reaction split up, because like I said, that was the reason I wanted to talk about the segments first, because are people going to be excited about the Russos? They have great action scenes, I really enjoyed their movies, I liked the stuff they did, is that exciting for people? And then Doctor Doom as a character coming back and being the new villain in place of Kang, and then leading into Secret Wars, that's really cool. And then Robert Downey Jr. separate from those things is a different thing. Because I think if you separate that out from all the other announcements and all the fanfare and everything else, I don't know if it's going to be as well received. I don't hate it. I still want to give it a chance. I want to be wrong. I want him to come out and just knock it out of the park, play a character he's never played before, and just nail it. That would be amazing. But, going in, like you said, we haven't seen him do a role like that. We've seen him play sarcastic Tony Stark, and then we've seen him play young Robert Downey Jr., who's just basically a teenager, early 20s guy who's on drugs. So it's a new role. I don't know. So yeah,
That's why
I'm not angry, but I'm not super hyped excited.
Yeah.
It was news. They made an announcement. I was not expecting it, but I don't know how I feel yet.
To reiterate, I'm not happy about their announcements. But at the same time, it's the only thing that'll save the MCU.
That's
the only thing that will keep people's butts in the seats and keep paying for movies.
I mean, that is the big thing. I don't know what other direction they could have gone. There's other heroes and villains they could introduce, but none are going to be as big as what we have now. No villain is going to outshine Doctor Doom.
Right.
That's the big... More than Galactus, more than any of the other ones. It's Doctor Doom. People are more psyched for him than Thanos. And just the heroes, I wanted them to keep doing more interesting heroes. I was psyched for Blade and even Ironheart, Agatha, and her whole coven. That's some cool stuff there. And then they said they want to get back to more sequels and lean on the established stuff and do all of that. And like, it's not exciting news to me, but like you said, it makes sense for them. Like, I loved Werewolf by Night. I like seeing, Man Thing and the other characters that were in there. Most people didn't even know that it came out. Nobody else really cared.
I didn't see it.
And like, the Hawkeye show, nobody gave a shit. And like most of those things, nobody cares. Like if Squirrel Girl comes out, I'm gonna be thrilled. The majority of people don't know what that is and do not care in the slightest. But if you bring back Tony Stark as Doctor Doom, everyone and their mother is excited. Like people know those names. They're gonna see that movie.
Yes.
So,
and I know I'm in the minority saying it's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
But I understand why it's the right choice.
I mean, we were in the minority anyway, though, because we liked Quantumania, we liked Wakanda Forever. You didn't see it yet, but I loved the Marvels. Like, I liked all their recent stuff. I thought they were making the right moves. They were doing movies that felt different. They were focusing on world building and, like, really big, colorful set pieces and just more comic book antics, like things that were a little zanier. It wasn't so grounded and just referential. Like it was just, here's a little adventure that we're going on and it's a bit crazy and kind of wacky and it's just really fun.
It's weird because they were going the Taika Waititi and James Gunn route, sticking with that kind of fun comic booky adaptation of movies.
Which is what you want from a comic book.
Just because Taika Waititi and James Gunn weren't involved in those specific movies, it's like, did people not like them?
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
to each their own, but the Russo Marvel stuff is my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting, like, the original Thor.
I like the original one better than the second one. I've rewatched all the Thors. I like the first one better than Dark World.
What?
Even with Eccleston in it. And I do love him. But, yeah, I like Thor 1 better than Dark World.
I don't know how to respond to that. Other than drawing up divorce papers.
The one thing I'm hoping for right now is that, like, Deadpool was doing great. They said it got like 400 million opening weekend, which, thank God.
It deserves, not because of Marvel, but because of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Yes, it had great writing, it had perfect casting, it was exactly what it needed to be. That was the best Marvel movie. I just really hope they get the right lessons from that. Like, I hope they can keep things fun and comic booky. And like Blade, if and when it finally comes out, because that's been in development hell and gone through like 9 directors or whatever. But like, I hope that can get an R rating too.
I don't think Blade will happen.
You don't think so?
No, he was there in that group that died because he was saying that's what Deadpool was saying. He was saying we're going to give these people their set off.
Well, the new Blade wasn't going to be Wesley Snipes. It was going to be, I'm so bad with names. That guy, the guy. It was going to be a different actor.
Oh.
And so it was going to be a whole new movie. They teased it at the end of Eternals, because Black Knight there, the Game of Thrones dude, he heard a voice off screen, and that was Blade. And they were setting up a new Blade movie.
Oh.
And I was hoping, if they do that, maybe it will be rated R, because Blade really needs to be. There's lots of blood, lots of violence, he's murdering vampires, people die, and they're humanoid-type people, and they bleed red stuff. So, that needs to be rated R. We saw what happened when you have a killer character in a PG-13 movie with Carnage, and that was dog shit. So, I was hoping they'd go in the right direction. They haven't announced anything yet, but I'm really hoping that Deadpool's going to do well enough that it will show them that, hey, maybe we were wrong, we can take these risks, we can go in different directions. It doesn't all have to be Captain America and Iron Man in the same movie over and over and over with the same Marvel quips and the same, hero and villain have the same powers matched. Do new things. Right. Be interesting. Be unique.
We don't have superhero fatigue. We have bad writing fatigue.
Yes. Yeah, I always hated that phrase because no one's sick of superheroes. It's a story genre that has existed since before World War I. It's been around forever. People love superheroes. The Boys is doing great. Invincible is doing great. People are not sick of superheroes.
Right.
They're sick of shitty writing and the same story over and over.
Right.
So that's what I'm hoping. I want Marvel to pivot away from that. And I know that goes against what I said about being excited for the Russos because they're the same directors we already saw tell these stories. But I'm hoping that Feige and just the overall vibe, they can maybe learn lessons from what they've done and what did and didn't work.
Right. They are the safe route, but hopefully they can adapt to modern times and make
Yeah.
The Deadpool model, something more viable.
I mean, like you said, they're the guys that did Community, so they can do other things. Like, it's not like they only know how to write this one concept. Like, they can do other stuff. So it's not that I don't think they can make another movie. I'm just wondering if they will, or if they're going to take the quote-unquote safe route and be like, hey, our last movie's worked, let's just carbon copy that with swapping out a few heroes. And I hope not, because that would be really disappointing. Like, I want good Marvel. Like, there's so many good stories, even just with the characters we have, let alone other or new ones. Like, there's cool stuff they can do. And now that we have Doctor Doom, that's going to be the best thing ever.
Can I make a prediction right now? I think that the Tony Stark is going to be the new Doctor Doom. And in that, I think he is going to kill Happy in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be
Like, we're going to get another Phil Coulson moment? Where they kill the sidekick and that's like the rally of the troops moment?
No, like Tony Stark is going to kill Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But I mean, like
they're gonna lean on that to make the audience emotional.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves Jon Favreau and what he did for Marvel starting it all off.
That's what I like with Phil Coulson, how when they killed off Phil, that was what got the Avengers together. That was like the moment that rallied everyone. That was the characters' pivotal.
No, I'm not saying that'll be a big moment for the characters in the movie. I'm saying
you just mean for the audience.
That'll be the emotional pivot point for people turning to saying this is an all new RDJ as Doctor Doom. Like, he's gonna kill someone, probably Happy, maybe someone else, maybe the Gwyneth Paltrow character, I don't know. But he's gonna have to kill someone that people like. Yeah. For them to go, oh shit! I mean,
if you're gonna bring Doctor Doom, you have to kill at least someone with him. Like, he is that character. Like, he's evil.
Right.
He's not a sympathetic villain. If they twist him to be a sympathetic villain, I'm gonna be so pissed. Like, Doctor Doom is not, and he never has been. He is evil because he wants to be evil. He needs to kill someone off and just show that it's not like the other movies. You're not going to talk him down. He needs to be a bad guy. He needs to kill someone, and they need to have to actually defeat him.
Yeah, that's the way they have to go. But just the fact that it's Robert Downey Jr. makes it the way that it's obvious.
Yeah.
Again, in my head, I can't picture another way to go that could justify having him come back.
Yeah, with his character's connections to Happy and, is it Penny?
I don't remember her name.
What's her name? Yeah.
She's not important.
She's not. Rescue. Or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They could finally sever ties with Sony and kill Spider-Man off in the MCU. That would be a huge impact. And it's the one hero they don't still have access to. So if they kill him off, they get to
Tony Stark
get rid of the Sony contract.
The Spider-Man's mentor, and now to have him die off would be a huge slap in the face.
Plus, in the new trailer for Venom, I don't know if we saw the trailer for Venom in the theater. There's a quick little moment in there where you actually see an agent come into the bar where he disappeared from and then reappears.
A TVA agent, yeah.
And the agent just comes in and puts a little thing on the little symbiote droplet that came off of him.
Right.
So
was that a TVA agent?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But I know they contained it right away. So
right, the lady was going to touch
that tie to the MCU. Like, they're trying to separate it out. So I feel like Marvel, that could be a direction they go, just to not have to deal with Sony anymore and keeping two sets of movies in sync, is they might have him kill Spider-Man.
Maybe.
Because that would impact audiences like crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone would lose their damn mind.
Yeah, Tom Holland or Jon Favreau are going to be the big deaths.
Yeah. Or both. Because Happy would, side with Spider-Man over the guy he'd always backed, Tony Stark.
Please, all two people that watch these videos, please leave comments down below and tell us what you think is going to happen, because I literally can't see another way for them to go.
Now that you've said that, watch this be like my Wonder Woman video and get 30,000 views out of nowhere.
That'd be nice.
But yeah, I am excited. I'm not going to make it sound like I'm super negative. I want it to be good. I'm really excited. We're getting a cool character. I'm very hyped. But I am curious and a little cautious to see what direction they're going to go. When we get a trailer and we know a little bit more, then I'll know for sure how I feel. But right now, like, I want it to go good. Like, I want RDJ to be a good enough actor to play the character well. I want it to be Victor Von Doom and not Tony Stark. Like, I want them to just make something up and just pull something out of their ass as to why we never saw Victor before and now we are seeing him in, like, this whole thing. And, like, just make it make sense and be cool, and that would be awesome. But, like you said, like, everything you said does make sense. Like, that very clearly is a direction they could go, and it's in line with what they've done, and it, like, makes sense all around. So, I hope you're wrong, but there's definitely a non-zero chance that you're not. So, I am cautiously optimistic.
I don't see a smart way to have Robert Downey Jr. play Victor Von Doom other than just to have him cast in the movie, in Marvel again.
Yeah.
Just because, without an explanation, he's just like, I am Victor Von Doom.
And that's the thing, too.
And that's stupid. I don't want that.
Well, especially because if they do that and they don't have it's just, this is a different character, but he looks like that, the characters would have to acknowledge it. Like, they would have to grapple with the fact that even if it's not Tony Stark, it looks like Tony Stark. Like,
different universe if the universes never cross.
Yeah, but, like, he would be in 616. Like, he would be eventually facing off the heroes that we're used to.
No, it
he
doesn't.
wouldn't Doomsday. Like, they're gonna tie things together.
I don't know.
Like, I feel like if the heroes from 616 see Victor Von Doom and he looks like Tony Stark, they have to acknowledge it. He's the most impactful person in their world. So if no one says, if no one's grappling with the fact, hey, how do I kill a guy that looks like my hero? Like, if you don't acknowledge it, then it's really stupid.
No, I think what they're going to do is have Doom find a way to try and take out all the different dimensions. Different universes, and then this group is going to be the one to face him. Yeah.
I mean, that would lead into Secret Wars. Like, that's what Secret Wars is that's all the universes are going to fail, and they, like, a group comes together to try to save some or one of them.
Yeah, I think
it's a whole thing.
I think Doom is going to be, is it called Doomsday?
Yeah.
That's going to be like Empire Strikes Back, where it ends with, the rebels in a losing position. Just like
Infinity War.
Yeah. They're gonna have to come back. It's gonna be that way, and I think it's gonna be Doom, just wiping out universes. Prove me wrong. Do something cooler, because if I can think it, then it's not creative enough. I think, in my opinion, because I'm not a creative dude. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, I've read a lot of comics. There's a million storylines. I mean, there's 100 things they could do, but to your point, like, if they're focusing on getting butts and seats and making money, most of what you said is what makes sense. Like, reuse the character in a way that people know it, build the impact by having him kill off another beloved character that's relative to his character. Like, that all does make sense. I don't want it to be what happens. It doesn't make sense in terms of interesting storytelling, at least to me. But from a marketing standpoint and a money-making standpoint, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Like, you're giving people the character they love, the directors they love, like, that's what they want. So, yeah, if they go that route, I'll be disappointed, but I think overall, they will benefit.
If they can find a way to make Robert Downey Jr. look big and imposing and menacing and freaking scary as all heck, I'm okay.
Yeah.
If they want him to be Tony Stark, fine. As long as he has that Doom attitude that we need. That's what I want. Because, like, what was the movie? Was it the very first Fantastic Four where they froze Doom with the fire hydrant?
I think so.
There was one, I can't remember if it was that first movie, but there was one where they were finally, Doom was in the garb, and they shrouded him in the pouring amount of darkness, and his eyes glued the right way, and he looked so cool, and all of a sudden they froze him with the fire hydrant thingy, majiggy, whatever, and that was like, they just put a stop to the awesomeness right then, but he was building up to.
See,
he needs to be the powerhouse. He needs to go up and above and beyond and destroy and rampage
Yeah.
and just bring the whole freaking House of Cards down before it can be taken from him.
See, that's the thing that I hope they do better with him than they did with Kang. Is that Kang, every time we saw him, he wasn't far and away ahead of the heroes. Like, he didn't majorly win.
He was just a plotting, manipulative chess player.
But, like, even then, like, he eked out a victory in Loki, but, like, not because he was, like, this super powerful guy. It's just, he happened to win. In Ant-Man, he didn't. Quantumania, he totally lost.
Right.
And, like, Doctor Doom, like, they're going to introduce him in Fantastic Four because he started as a Fantastic Four villain. Like, that's where he's known. But, like, they should not defeat him in any way. Like, at no point should the Fantastic Four have one up on Doctor Doom.
Right.
Like, they don't have to lose by the end of the movie, but they should not be ahead of him either.
Right.
Like, he should come out unfazed. Maybe they thwart his plans, but he should be perfectly fine and already have another scheme. Like, if they defeat him, how is he a threat to everyone else? Like, I'm sorry, there's some of the lamest heroes in Marvel's catalog. If they can defeat him with, you know, Rock Guy and a flamethrower and, like, Rubber Band Man, like, that's pathetic. So they can't take him down. That's the one thing that's going to be really make or break for me. If we come out of that and they make him look pathetic in his first appearance, then there's no threat in Doomsday. Like, if these four idiots can take him down, what's he going to do against all the rest of the Avengers? Like, I'm sorry, but no, there's no stakes.
Right.
So he has to be a badass right from the get-go.
Yes.
So that's going to be the big thing for me is, like, we'll find out right away if RDJ can pull it off or not. Because in that first movie, if he's not a badass, if he's not on top of the world, you're doing it wrong and it's not going to work.
It really all hinges on him. Not so much the Russo brothers. It really all...
Yeah.
All right, it does hinge on the Russo brothers because who's the guy from, was it Civil War? The bubblegum head guy that got his head stuck in the glue in the comics. Like remember he wears like a pink purple mask. Looks like a condom.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. It's gonna bug me. Alright, there's a character, I'm not my mind is blanking. Alright, there's a character in Civil War that's the one, he's the one that showed Tony Stark that Captain America was the one that took out his parents back in the day.
Baron Zemo there.
Yeah. Baron Zemo, yes. Okay, Helmut von Zemo.
Oh, yes.
So, in the Russo brothers movie, he didn't look as cool as what he was supposed to in the comics.
Yeah.
I wanted him to look better than what he did in the movie. So I'm worried that the Russo brothers aren't going to make going to make Doctor Doom look like some godlike figure.
Yeah.
He's just going to be a normal person with cool abilities.
Do I still have it on the wall? Oh, don't tell me it's one of the ones I took down. Oh, that's disappointing.
There's
right here. This is the Doctor Doom that I want to see. That is Doctor Doom riding a goddamn dinosaur.
Yes, that is cool.
I want that in the movie. Like, he should just come in and immediately he is imposing and badass. Like, how the do we deal with that?
Right.
Like, he's not just on a dinosaur. The dinosaur also has a Doom mask. Like, that's the level of just entrance we need to have with Doctor Doom.
And I'm worried that the Russo brothers won't give that to us because they are so grounded and they try and make the movie so realistic.
I'm over comic book movies being realistic.
Like, I want to be comic booky.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to mention Squirrel Girl again because it is a comic series I really like. But there's one of the storylines in there. There's Mole Man, who was a scientist who was, like, disgraced because everyone made fun of how he looked. And he, like, went into hiding, and he ended up, like, in the sewers below New York. And he wanted to take his revenge out on everybody, really. So he decides to just tunnel away and drop, like, half of New York into the ground. Like, a giant pit opens up underneath Central Park, and the whole thing just collapses in there. Like, people die, and buildings collapse, and it's a whole thing. And then he also has, like, this weird two-headed dragon creature thing that's helping him, and he ends up in love with it and, like, makes out with it and stuff. And, like, that's the storylines I want. I want something that is completely unplausible and ridiculous and zany. Because that's a comic book. Yeah. That's what comic books should be. They're not supposed to be real life.
Right.
Like, I can get real life by going outside. I don't need a comic book for that.
Right.
So give me something ridiculous.
To me, the Russo brothers version of Marvel is just what's on the news right now.
Yeah.
In our real world. It's not something special and fantastical that I want to watch because it just feels too real.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to have more comic book attitude. It needs to have more Mole Man. It needs to go crazy.
That was the big issue that a lot of people had with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is that, especially at the end there, where it was just him preaching to the politicians about social issues.
It was too real.
And like, dude, nobody wants that. I'm not saying comic books can't tie into social issues. They always have, they always will. That's fine. You know, the X-Men is about racism and sexism and, you know, homophobia. I get that. It should still be that. But it shouldn't have such a direct and blatant one-to-one correlation
he's literally
with the real
pointing
world.
at people's fingers, preaching at them.
Yeah.
You should do better.
Yeah.
Like, that's too much.
It can be metaphor. You don't have to spoon-feed it directly to us.
Right?
It's like the perfect example, because it's happening right now with The Boys. For 3 seasons, you knew what they were talking about. You knew who Homelander was, or at least what side he was representing. Like, everyone understood what was going on, except for the people it was making fun of. And then in season 4, they stopped being metaphorical, and they just said, hey, you're the problem, we don't like you, fuck you. And all those people got upset with the show.
Right.
Do I feel bad for them? No, they're monsters and idiots. But once you point it out, you take the metaphor away, it's not a pretend world anymore. It's not superheroes. I'm just watching the real world get handed back to me, and that's not fun.
Right.
So I'm not saying I sympathize with them, because fuck them, but, like, we've seen that go wrong, because without the metaphor, it's just not, I'm not watching a comic book thing. I'm watching the real world. It's just the guy presenting it to me has spandex on. So I don't need more of that. Like, I'm okay with the Russos coming back, because they've made a lot of good stuff, but I definitely hope we can move away from the gritty, realistic, like, kind of superheroes, but mostly real people thing. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah, make it look realistic because that's cool.
Yeah,
but the gritty, like you were talking, just the fact that the stories sound like they could just come right off the news instead of something fantastical out of them.
If you take out the superhero element, it should still be a ridiculous story. Like, it should still be fantastical and over the top.
Right.
Like I said with the Mole Man thing, if there's no superhero, Mole Man is not, you know, he's not this weird supervillain, and Squirrel Girl doesn't have super strength, and it's just, this guy's mad at the world for putting him down. He's still sinking Central Park into the ground. That's still a ridiculous, over-the-top story. There's still spectacle. But, like, if you look at Captain America, and it's like, a soldier fought the Nazis. And then when he got back to the USA, he was still on the side of justice and wanted to stop other bad people, including Nazi sympathizers. Like, that's just the world we live in. That's not interesting. That's not a superhero. That's just last Tuesday.
Right.
So that's not fun for me.
Right.
So
you know, Marvel, the Russos, Robert Downey Jr., Kevin Feige, they got a big road ahead of them.
Yes.
They got to lay it out well, because I won't give them my $10 anymore if this ain't good. I'm going to see them all once, but
yeah,
I'll be damned sad if it doesn't work out.
I've seen everything Marvel's done so far. I'm going to continue to do so. But like I said, if they're bad, I'm not watching them a second time. I'm not buying the Blu-rays. Like, I'm not going to keep giving them the extra support if it's just not interesting anymore.
Right.
Like, I know we're on every tangent under the sun right now, but like, on Reddit, I'm on the anime subreddit a lot. And a lot of people on there all the time are like, oh, you should watch this anime, and if you didn't like it, you just don't get it. Like, you have to watch until season 2, and that's when it really finds itself, or whatever. I'm like, no. If I watch something and it's not interesting, and it's not good, and it doesn't appeal to me, I'm not going to stick with it because someone else said it was good, or because I hope that it'll be better in the future. Like, if it's not interesting, I'm just going to stop. Like, there's other stuff out there that's good right from the start. I'm going to watch that.
Right.
So, yeah, if these movies, like, just suck and the MCU just isn't entertaining anymore, I don't need to keep watching it. There's other stuff we can watch. Like we said, The Boys is great. Invincible is great.
Star Wars.
Definitely not Star Wars.
Star Wars is dead to me. That's what.
Oh, I thought you were saying that's the alternative.
I feel like Marvel is going down that route with these new announcements. Like, they're just going the Star Wars route, and they're just killing it off, and they're trying everything, and they're throwing everything they can at it, but nothing is working because they're not going to the basics of what needs to really happen. It's a simple fix that for some reason they don't want to do.
I mean, it is pretty much the same thing. Because Star Wars, the issue is they're tying everything to the Skywalkers. They can't move on. They can't come up with a new story. Everything has to relate back. And Marvel is kind of doing that with the original Adventures. Like, everything has to tie back in somehow. There can't be a new story or a separate story or a standalone thing. Like, everything has to be part of this thing and just tie in. And it's just... I like that it's a connected universe. That's fun. It was clever that they did that, at least at first. But at this point, I don't care anymore. Like, just let me see a cool adventure with a character, and then if another character from some other adventure shows up, awesome. That's a fun little cameo that I wasn't expecting. But it doesn't... I don't care if it makes sense. I don't care about the overarching storyline. Like, it does not matter to me anymore.
That's why Deadpool and Wolverine is so awesome, because it's what Marvel needs.
Yeah, it's just its own thing, and these characters weren't even in the MCU before, and they're just like, hey, we're just doing a thing.
Right.
Like, I want more of that. Like in She-Hulk, a lot of people were upset that Daredevil showed up, or how he showed up, or whatever. I'm like, I'm not. I think it's fine. Like, she's having her adventure, and then this other hero just shows up and he's part of it for a little bit. That's fine for me. That's cool. It's fun seeing this other hero that I like in this story now. He's in a new setting, a different story. Like, that's cool. And then when Daredevil comes out, and he's just, it's a different character with a different tone. That's fine. I don't care. Like, you can do that. You can play with your toys in a different side of the sandbox. I want them to do more of that. Because they're not doing well tying everything together anyway. Like, we talked about, the Eternal thing that has not been mentioned for 5 years. Like, you're not tying your universe together as well as you think you are, so just stop. It doesn't matter anymore. No one cares about the timeline. Just do your things, and then just sometimes let them play together and be fun.
Right.
Like, What If? That was the whole... It's a bad example because they're tying those together too, but that's what If was supposed to be. It's just a one-off little crazy adventure. Like, what if this weird change in the universe caused this other thing to happen? And it's supposed to be just a fun, standalone story with characters that we already know and love. So I want the whole MCU to just be that now. So that's what I want. It's not the direction they'll go. They've invested way too much in tying it together and making a cinematic universe. They're the reason we have cinematic universes. So they're not going to stop. But I think if they did, it would serve them really well.
All right, we got to tie this up. We've been going for like 5 hours. All right, so to sum it all up, Doctor Doom, finally. Heck yes. Robert Downey Jr. playing him. We're all nervous. Don't screw it up, please.
We'll see.
Please, dear God, that's all we're asking.
I'm not upset about it yet. But if it's bad, I will be.
Yeah. We got to shut up. End the video.
Okay. Bye.